Hello, friends and enemies, heroes and villains. Welcome to Epic Realms. Today's guest is a writer and podcaster. You may have seen him on the DungeonScrawlers page or played through some of his stuff in Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, or maybe listened to some of his podcasts. Please welcome the one and only Treavor Bettis to Epic Realms. Did I say your name right?
Yes, you did.
Because sometimes I see a name and I'm like, this is fairly simple, and then I say it, and then afterwards I go, maybe
Did I say it? Yeah? And always the best time for your brain to remind you to ask that question is just as you say it live.
Just as you say it. Yeah, that's okay. I usually will do that afterwards, and if I get it, then I'm like, oh man, or if I do get it, I'm like, yes, nailed it.
Yep. No, 100%. I mean, B-Dave and some Champions of Lore fans may argue that it is Treavor, but the normal pronunciation is Trevor. Yeah.
Treavor. Okay. If I just start calling you that, are we good? Because
it's fine.
For here on out, the rest of the. My introduction to you is through Erin Evans, who's been a guest on this show, and I've done a lot of stuff with her as well. And the DungeonScrawlers group. How did you meet up through them originally? Was it through Idle Champions or was it somewhere else?
Yes, I'm having to replay years of my life through my head right now. Okay, yeah, no, because I met Erin doing Champions of Lore. That was a live stream show that Codename Entertainment, creators of Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, put on. I had done no, I hadn't done work with them yet. That was I sent a Hail Mary email to the CEO to ask if I could do anything, and they're like, do you want to do a show with Erin M. Evans and B. Dave Walters? And I'm like, yeah,
let's do it.
And so I met Erin through doing that show. I mean, B. Dave and I became very quick friends. I mean, that's kind of the fun thing about like going back and listening to that show, is that like you literally just get to hear the three of us becoming friends.
Yeah.
And yeah, through doing that, like I joined the DungeonScrawlers Discord, and got to know some of the folks there, got to know some of the other authors and stuff, and eventually, got to be on a couple of their shows and run a couple games on their channel. Well, and I mean, now I say that as if like it's so wild, but like now I'm a member of the board, so like, like yeah, I've been around for a bit now.
Yeah. What was your first introduction to D&D? Because it's all tied kind of to D&D, right?
I love that you asked this question, because I don't know if you know this, but when I hosted Idle Insights, that's how I opened every show, is how did you get into D&D?
How did you get into D&D?
See, I know if people are here that have heard me on other shows, or you've heard this a billion times, and I'm sorry, but you know what? There's new folks here, so hi.
We're not sorry.
I was one of those really annoying nerds that was like, well, I play World of Warcraft, but at least I don't play D&D. Yeah, and thought that like there was like levels of coolness and the game space and everything. There is. You're not above anything. You can just not like something, and it's okay. That was mainly me whispering to past Trevor like he was gonna hear it somehow.
Yeah.
But my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, my best friend, we all had made friends with this guy who was in the Navy, who had been recently stationed in our town, and we were hanging out for a while, and at one point he was just like, hey, like I have all of the 3.5 D&D books, and I haven't gotten to play D&D in years. Would you guys like want to play? My best friend Kyle and I were like, and my wife she finds out that she can play a pirate, and she goes, we're playing. And I went, all right, well, I guess we're playing. And so I made a sorcerer. His name was Jace Logan, and I made him. He's such an asshole. I actually don't know if I can swear on your show. I'm sorry.
You certainly can. You can
okay,
certainly
cool.
swear.
I'm finally the guest that doesn't know that. We played a few sessions of it, and the whole time I was like, that's okay. And then like I just found that like I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I was looking forward to the next session. And then there was a month where he was gonna be gone, and we were like, well, crap, we can't play D&D. And then we went to a Barnes and Noble, and this was during 4th edition,
Okay.
and they just done the new red box for 4th edition. So like it had that classic, you know, artwork on the front and everything, and it's a perfect place to start playing D&D. And I was like, well, okay, well, what if I ran something? And little did I know that sentence in 2011 was going to make me a forever DM for the next, you know, decade plus. And so yeah, we got it. We learned how to play it. It came with a map, came with tokens and everything like that. And I just started running it, and like as like each session that went by, as I was running things and coming up with story and all of this stuff, I just fell absolutely in love with this game. And then, you know, getting to tell a story each week and have your friends collaborate with you on it was just like one of the most fun things ever. Because like I was doing writing and stuff at the time. Like I was known in the group as like, oh, he's the writer and stuff like that. But I never got to talk with people about writing or story or anything like that. Their eyes would glaze over. But if I add dice to it and put your character in it, we're gonna talk about story all day, and it's great. Right. So yeah, that's how I got into D&D.
So what was your thought? Because you played a little of 3.5, and then you ended up switching to 4th edition. Did you have an issue going, well, these aren't the rules that I remember, or did you know that the rules had been shifted?
I knew that the rules had been shifted. The Matt, the guy that was running stuff, you know, he was very vocal about it. He's like, I heard what they did with 4th edition. I don't want to deal with that and everything like that. And because like the reason we did it though is because like at that point, Barnes Noble didn't have any of the 3.5.
Right.
They only had the 4th edition ones. And they also had Pathfinder, and I was like, oh, well, that's a completely different name. I don't know what that means.
And now you look back, you're like, man, I guess that would have worked too.
I know, right? Yeah, that's the really funny thing. Though, like, I will say that because of that starter kit, I think is what really was able to like get us in there. But yeah, we knew that it was going to be different and everything like that. We knew that we were kind of starting a new thing because, like, you know, we didn't want to like okay, we're going to break into Matt's house. We're going to take all of his D&D books so that we can play this month. Yeah. So we got that, and yeah, we knew it was going to be different, so we went in with that expectation. But the more that we played of it, the more we enjoyed it, because like we did come from a video game background. Like my wife, my best friend, and I, like when it came to like dailies and at wills and encounters and, you know, healing surges, like, okay, we get this. This is mechanics that we understand. And so it was a little bit easier for us to get into that. And what's really funny is that like we played so much of that when, you know, 4th edition dipped off and it went into the play test for you know, D&D Next.
Right.
We actually switched over to Pathfinder. And so it was a really wild experience, especially hearing folks who had played 3.5 and even 2nd edition, everything like that, bouncing off 4th edition so hard. But then coming from 4th edition to going into like Pathfinder, which is like 3.75 and stuff.
Right.
I was like, okay, I get it now. I understand why all of you had a problem with it and everything. I still have a soft spot. In fact, behind my green screen, I still have my 4th edition books. But like I understood where people were coming from with it, and I did fall in love with a different kind of role playing that, you know, that and 5th edition allowed.
I've talked a lot about how much I was in that no 4th edition crowd, right? Mm-hmm. But there is the benefit.
As was, it seems, most of the target market for it.
But I see the appeal, because as you said before, D&D, I play Warcraft. I don't play D&D.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was Warcraft D&D.
It was Warcraft D&D, so that could easily bring a Warcraft player into the world of tabletop role playing a lot simpler. So like it had that going for it, and so we can see that obviously, like you played it, and that's, you know, you have a soft spot for that. And you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that have a soft spot for 4th edition.
If you ever get Lauren Urban on her, she's gonna talk your ear off about 4th edition.
So you mentioned that you volunteered to be a GM, and now you're like forever GM.
Yes.
Do you prefer to be a GM or a player?
I have too many control issues to say no, and I will admit that about myself. I like. There's definitely. I do enjoy being a DM more. And I think one of the reasons for that is I guess when it comes to being a player and stuff like that, I enjoy it. I had fun with it. I mean, very recently we wrapped up in my home game like a year and a half campaign of my friend running it and me getting to be a player. And there's a level of during a session where something happens and I'm like, oh my God, I wish I could do something right now. And like as a
Right.
DM, I can follow that thread. And I can see that in the player. And this is nothing against my friend that's running it. I'm not saying that he doesn't see when a player is interested in something
Right.
like that. But like I can I see like these character threads and everything like that, and I just want to follow that no matter what the rules say or anything like that. And so like there is this there's always a level at some point in the sessions where I'm just like, oh God, I really wish I was DMing this because then I could just say it happens. And for folks who don't know me and everything like that, don't misconstrue that as like, oh, I just always wanted to succeed or anything like that. It's honestly most of the time when I want something to go horribly, horribly wrong. If you need any evidence to that, you can check out the first time I played with Dungeon Scrawlers, where I purposefully put the group in the path of something I knew was going to happen. I was like, I know what this creature is. My character doesn't know what it is, but I'm gonna make everyone get in this line.
Wow. You talk about that a little bit, and I was gonna ask about your thoughts on the rule versus cool sort of storytelling, because a lot of people do more of one, they do more of the other.
Yeah.
Some people hybrid it. Obviously it sounds like you like the cool more than the rule a little bit.
Yes, but the caveat that I will put to that is just because it is cool doesn't mean that it's going to be good for the story. And it doesn't mean that it's going to feel rewarding to the player, because at the end of the day, that is really the thing that I care the most about. It obviously means that I care about the session that I am in and everything and the people that I'm playing with. But the thing that I'm always thinking about is this going to make a cool story for them to tell later?
Yeah.
Like 2 years from now, when they meet someone and they're like, oh, I play D&D and I play D&D too, and they're talking about their games, is this going to be something that they talk about? And in order for that to happen, it has to be rewarding, because if I'm just like, you crit, everybody crits, no one's going to talk about that except for the fact that, so I had a DM one time that sucked, where he just let everything crit and nothing mattered and we all had a terrible time. So like literally what I'll do, I don't know why I'm grabbing for my dice, like this needs a visual thing.
Right.
What I've essentially done is...
They make a good clicky clacky sound when you roll them.
Well, especially these are these gem dice that my wife got me recently that I love very, very much. What I started doing, and this was off of this was kind of a continuation of a thing a GM did for a Pathfinder game I was in, that if I see something, especially if it's something that I know the player really wants, I have started doing these fate rolls where like in my head, I have made a formula. And when I say formula, it's really just like addition. I just want to sound fancy. Yeah, I do some math for each character at each level of what their probability of this going the way they want to happen. And essentially that ranges from like 10 to like I think like 30, it's between 30 and 40 or something like that, depending on what level they're at. And I'll ask them high or low. And this has become like a code thing now where like I don't even say I'm doing a fate roll. I just I will smile. I'm like high or low, and the player will go, you know what, you're rolling too well tonight. I'm gonna go high, and so then I will roll, and if it falls within that percentage, the thing happens. And I have found that being such a nice median between rule of cool and mechanics, because there is still a level of chance, there is still a level of mechanics to it that lets it feel rewarding, while also the player potentially getting their way. And it makes it even more so because like the amount of times that it doesn't happen, where I'm just like, you should have gone high tonight. And everybody laughs it off and we keep moving. So that when it does happen, everyone is psyched. Everyone is so excited because like essentially, like fate's scales got tipped in their favor for it. But I mean, there are other times where like I've absolutely said, screw a fate roll. That's way too cool. This is happening.
Yeah.
And I mechanics are awesome. I love mechanics. I'm looking at an entire bookcase of role-playing game rule books that I'm never gonna get to play because I just buy these to read them. I have Daggerheart out in my living room. No one is interested in playing with me in my group. I'm just reading it because I love rules and mechanics and seeing how people translate story into mechanics. But I think adhering to the rules as written, for me, and again, you do as you do, for me, that is as boring as writing a fantasy novel using your college essay class on writing and how a paragraph should be formed and how a sentence should go and how the final sentence should conclude everything. Like, not breaking a single writing convention. That's kind of the same level of it for me, where I'm like, no, the rules are good, the rules are really great, but it's really good when you know when to break them and to leave them behind and do something cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have some strong opinions about it, as you can see. Well, by the way, we joked before the show that this was going to be a really easy episode because we both like talk, and like I feel like I'm talking more than I normally do. So
you're fine. You're good. I was going to ask you, because you kind of touched on it a little bit when it comes to gaming, that you're talking about your friend and you're like, well, he does it this way, I do it this other way. Not that that's a bad thing or a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you touch a little bit on your thoughts on like different game mastering, dungeon mastering styles? Because every GM, DM has a little bit different style, or things that they lean into, things that they're good at, things that they, whether they know or don't know, that they're like, I'm not good at this. Like me personally, you give me a pre-made module, it takes me forever to go through that and plan for that, and I have to highlight and hours, and I've got notes and arrows. Whereas one of my other friends, you can give it to him, and 5 minutes later, you wouldn't even know he's running that in your campaign. It's like, oh, this is a Pathfinder module set in this town in Glorian. Well, great, it will fit right into this Dragon Age campaign I have going, but you wouldn't know that he's running it, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally understand. Like, I definitely kind of lean into your friend's sort of zone there, because like, I mean, there's been times where we're like, oh, the DM can't make it tonight, everybody's ready to go, and I'm just like, well, I have this like adventure book, and they're like, have you read it? No. Let's play it. Like, I ran the beginning of White Plume Mountain just as we were reading, and I was like, all right, cool, you are going into that room, and block text, and all right, cool, roll initiative. No, DM style is, I mean, it's so funny because like I just made the reference to writing, but like, hey, funny me making references to writing and stuff. I think that your DMing style is like your writer voice. Some people know what I mean by that. We're like, if you've read a fantasy novel and stuff, Brandon Sanderson doesn't sound like Pat Rothfuss.
Right.
N.K. Jameson doesn't sound like John Scalzi. It's, and I think that is kind of the thing to notice about yourself as a DM, and know that that's fine. That's how you do things. That like, I've told so many people, like, don't put yourself against Matt Mercer. Don't put yourself against Brennan Mulligan, Chris Perkins, any of these people. Listen to them talk about DMing.
Right.
Take something from that, but don't try to be them. I mean, like, I listened to a bunch of Chris Perkins running games, like, because I used to listen to the Penny Arcade games. I mean, when we got into 4th edition, I stumbled upon those 4th edition Penny Arcade games, and I binged the I worked as a parking lot attendant.
Oh, yeah.
Those were just like sanity saving to me. Oh my God. And so like I've heard him DM, and I've heard him talk about DMing and stuff. And like I would not at all ever say I DM like Chris Perkins, but I would absolutely say I have 1000% stolen things from Chris
Right.
Perkins of like of like certain style and certain things. Like, you know, if there was one thing that I could say that like I would have, you would find similar to his games to mine, is cliffhangers. I don't care where we are. If I see a cliffhanger and it's time, and that you know, it's 9 o'clock, it's time to end. Oh, it's happening. It's gonna be good.
I always tell
So
people, if you're looking at those people, I go, yes, you want to be Matt Mercer at your home game, great. But
yeah,
remember, that's a produced content. That's
yeah.
that's edited.
Oh
That's
my God.
prepared. That's planned. Like that is a television show. So
I
you can aspire to be that, but keep in
like
mind that's a produced show.
it's so hard for me when it comes to talking about that stuff, because like obviously I've been like, I'm not saying that I've been at Critical Role or anything like that, but like I have been on actual plays, I've been on behind the scenes stuff, I've
Right.
been editing for these shows and everything. I know how they work, and I try to just leave it at that, where I'm just like, it's a produced thing. Like, don't try to shoot for that, because that's not what it is. Because I don't want to break the magic for them. Because like
Right.
I know if I told them like, here's how things go on a lot of actual plays, it would break it for them, and I don't want that, because I'm like, no, you're enjoying this, you're seeing this, this is a group of people at a table, go for that feeling, don't go for anything else. Like, you know, aim for your players to like, you know, jump up and excited like, you know, Travis does or something like that. But like comparing anything you do at a home game to anything you see on a screen is just gonna end in heartache for yourself. Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, a house game, right? Home brew game is different even from a live stream RPG like you guys do on Dungeon Scrawlers, like we do here on Wednesdays.
Oh yeah.
It's still you have to do it a little bit differently
Oh yeah.
because you're still doing a show for people, right? People are watching. So
Yep.
if you can't spend 3 hours looking up a rule. You got to keep going. You
Yep.
make a call. Let's go. Let's not sit on dead air. The radio person in me is like, we've got dead air. Let's say something.
Oh
Do
yeah.
something. Make
Oh
a
yeah.
sound.
Oh yeah, you can't sit there looking for a rule. You can't sit there, you know, on your phone. You can't you know, do a bunch of stuff. You know, like if we were doing a game and I was back here, you know, like this on screen,
Holding your phone up. Yeah.
because like yeah, like you know, I don't shy away, people out there watching or listening, you know. And for the folks listening, I am leaning back in my chair with my phone in front of my face. You know, you've done it.
Leaning back. Yeah.
Yeah. You know you've done it at a game, and you can't do that on air, on video and stuff like that. And I mean, that's just one of the numerous reasons that it's different.
Right. Going up. Go. Just hey guys, let's go get food, and then chit chat
Oh
for
yeah.
15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the house. Talk about what your characters might do out of character. Spend 15, 20 minutes. Like yeah, you could do that on stream, but it's not the same as just sitting around with your friends doing it. So that's the difference. And the same with watching any show. You're not going to be Critical Role. You're not going to be Dimension 20. You're not going to be Dungeon Scrawlers. You know.
So like it's funny though, because like you talk about that, and like I definitely know that I have been in those games and everything, and I mean like, oh my God, I love this day. It's not, when I talk about this, it's not going to sound like I love this day, but I love this day. I once played D&D. I ran D&D for 12 hours, and like we like, you know, got up in the middle of it. We went to a taco shop. We got burritos. We came back, kept going through the dungeon. They did the boss. It was like midnight, and I was like, all right, well, okay, we're done. I'm gonna go home. And I went home and I was dead. And oh my God, I'm never ever doing that again. And man, that was like, I think that was over 10 years ago, and I'm just like, I never do that again.
Those are my
But
fondest memories of those long games.
well, so that's the thing though, is that like I used to fall into that same camp, and it was very similar where I'm like, oh man, like a bunch of us got the day off, like, like we should just like get together at 1 and we're just gonna play until, like we're done. I'm now at the point that I have found shorter games to be my absolute favorite thing. And I'm not just talking about for actual plays and stuff. My home game, and we did this even when I wasn't the one running it, because of people being in different parts of the world, and people having jobs and everything. We meet up on a weeknight at 7 p.m. and we play for 2 hours. That's it. When it hits 9, like we're like, if we're in the middle of a combat, we might be like, all right, this is gonna be the last round, and we'll pick up next week. And we have been doing that for 7 years. Oh my god, it's been 7 years. I think my eye twitched when I said that.
It did. I watched it.
And it had, like, the thing that is so good about it, I mean, one is I can't tell you how many times there's not a problem with scheduling because of it, because like things come down to the fact that it's like, oh well, I have to go do this thing after work, I can't go over immediately and play, or like oh, we got dinner plans and stuff, it's like we play at 7. People have dinner and stuff before that and everything. And the other thing about it though is that thing that I just did there, this whole thing
with the phone,
with the phone, sorry, I'm trying to remember audio listeners as well.
That's all right. I got you.
Is it doesn't happen. My players, and me too, when I was a player, are so dialed in because we know we've got 2 hours. And so instead of having those 6 hours to just kind of lollygag and do whatever, and like, oh, the conversation drifts and everything like that, if the conversation drifts, one of us is gonna go, all right, so but whose turn is it?
Right.
And when it comes to like the shopping episode, I'm not gonna lie, and shopping episodes of actual plays, please everyone out there doing it, please stop doing those. Don't do shopping episodes. And at the table, like I found myself as a player hating them, because we're sitting around, all the books are open, and people are just like essentially looking at Sears catalogs and hanging out. And so like what we have done is literally like, I loved what Tom's the other guy that DMs in our group. The last time around, he was like, okay, we're gonna have a shopping episode next session. Everyone send me a list of things that you want, and I will let you know during the game if you get it. And so it turned this into a really exciting thing, because we got to put like our hopes and dreams of like what was reasonable and everything like that. And so the playing of the game wasn't us sitting there and going through everything. The playing of the game was, okay, I need to get my character to where I could get those boots of elven kind. Okay, so we're in Neverwinter, right? Okay, can I find a store that has this? And so we're engaging in the story still, because when we go to that place, he has made characters for those parts, and lets us know through that character if we got the thing or
role playing involved.
There's actual role playing involved in it, because he's already prepped for what we can get, and it made each one of those so much more interesting. And again, it was 2 hours, and so like we got the shopping done in like 30-45 minutes.
Nice.
And that was it. And a lot of that was just and I will admit, probably the 45 minutes is because Alex was doing bits left and right. And that's okay. Because like that's the thing. Like, it's not saying that like we're super serious and like, oh, right, we gotta no, it is super focused on the game. It's not super focused on who brought snacks or anything like that. And granted, we play on Discord, so like if I brought snacks, they are my snacks.
Yeah.
but I have found that has been such a fun thing to do with my group, to like get everybody in on it, make sure that we can still pretty much play every week. Like, we can't play this week and it's my fault. Actually, no, I just remembered. So I have to work tomorrow night, and I let the group know. I was like, I couldn't get out of it. And so Tom has said, like, hey, I got a one shot I can run,
Right.
make some level 1 characters for tomorrow. And so, like, they're still going to get together and play. And that I mean, it shows that it's like, yeah, when I say 2 hours, I see the shock in other D&D players' faces, but like, it's not me. They are still going and doing that on their own for 2 hours and having fun with it.
That's great. I also, I'm the shock. I'm like 2 hours. I'm like minimum 4 for me. I can't. If it's less than 4,
Dude,
I gotta still sit down and get my stuff out. I 2 hours.
I'm not gonna lie, like, even in actual plays, 3 is my limit. I like
Wow.
it really comes down to the fact that it's like, if it goes after that, I feel like that for me is the point where my brain is going to start drifting, and it's not going to engage with it the way that I want it to, the DM wants it to, the other players want it to. And so that's why, like, I just told them, like, hey, my limit is 3. If we go over that, just be prepared for zonked out Treavor.
Fair enough.
I'll do my best.
I'd like to rewind a little bit
Mhm.
and go back, because we mentioned earlier how this kind of started was
Yep.
getting to be Erin through Idle Champions. How did you get into working there? Because I can't not have you on and not talk about your work with Idle Champions, how you got in there.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you've told it before.
Oh yeah,
Tell our audience.
So I started working at CNE in 2021, but the way that I got there started in 2019. I was working a soul-sucking, dead-end office job that I still curse from the hilltops today. And I was feeling this, like, really big creative, not block, but like build up. Like, I wasn't getting the creativity out that I needed to. And I had some friends who I just recently connected with. They had a podcast, and I got to be on their show, and it was the second time ever I'd been on a podcast.
Okay.
And I love podcasts. Like I said, I was a parking lot attendant. I listened to podcasts all the time, and it was something I always wanted to do. And one thing or another got in the way of doing it and everything. And then there was an episode where they had, oh, I feel so bad right now. I can't remember your name. I literally called him my podcast dad. Oh, but it's been so long. Oh, I feel bad. I'll see if I can look it up at some point. But they had this guy on who had his own show, his own Twitch streams and podcasts and everything. And he like, at one point out of nowhere was like, just started doing this TED talk of like, hey, if you've ever wanted to do a podcast, just do it. Like he's like, I hate to sound like Shia LaBeouf, but like, do it. Yeah, and at the time, now it's Spotify podcast or whatever the heck it is, but like, at the time it was an app called Anchor that was not that was not part of Spotify. You could download it, make an account, record a show on your freaking phone, and upload it, and they would send it out to the masses.
Right.
And I heard this, and I went, I could make a podcast.
Right.
Screw it. I could record myself just talking on my way to and from work.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was talking about doing. And so I decided to, like, that day I was like, okay, if I was going to do a podcast for, right now, like, what would I do it about? I ended up talking to my friend Dusty, who now has also done podcasts and everything because of this. And he was like, I mean, obviously it's D&D. Like, what are you talking about? Of course it's going to be D&D. So I made a show called Dungeon Driver, because I talked about being a DM and I was driving at the time.
Okay.
Don't recommend doing this, but I did it. And like, literally I put one AirPod in, because I will not drive with 2 headphones in because, I mean, 1, that's illegal, and 2, that is a bad time. But I put one in, had it be the mic, and recorded myself driving home and talking about D&D. And like I even came up with an intro between lunch and going home that day, and did all the things and everything. And I just started doing that for a while, and I was enjoying it, and it sounded terrible. Like, obviously, like you're recording on an AirPod in a moving car.
Right.
It sounded horrendous, but like there were people that listened to it, and like, and I still, like, I cannot express to those people how much that meant to me. Like, and you know, like some of them were friends and stuff, but some of them weren't. Some people were leaving reviews on it. I'm like, I don't know who you are, and you listen to me, you know what I sound like.
Right.
And eventually that turned into me wanting to do more of more than that. And so I talked to my sister-in-law Allie. She was the other person at the time that was that I knew that was forever DM, and you know, knew a bunch of stuff that I felt could have a good conversation about D&D with me. So we did that, rebranded the show as Difficulty Class. Had a really good time doing that. Pandemic hit. And during that, sorry, just before that happened, because I was still working at Barnes and Noble at the time. Just before the pandemic hit, somehow, and I can't remember exactly how this was. I tweeted. I found out who the marketing director for Codename Entertainment was, because she and I both played Idle Champions, and
Right.
we really liked it. And I found out who the marketing director was, and I tweeted out that we had talked about Idle Champions in an episode, and I tagged Idle Champions in it. And I can't remember how. I know I got it in front of the marketing director's feed somehow, and he ended up talking to me and then messaged me like, "Hey, do you want to get set up doing codes with us?" And I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And so like we started doing the giveaway codes for Idle Champions through that. And we started, you know, I started building a rapport with people that worked there and everything. Like I met Margaret, I met Clive, I met Dylan, and eventually through the pandemic, I was like, oh well, you know what? I wonder if we could get the CEO
Right.
of Codename to be on the show, Eric Jordan, because he'd followed me on Twitter.
Right.
Because, you know, it was the pandemic, everyone was just on Twitter chronically the entire time.
Yeah.
And so I ended up talking to Margaret, who was the person getting me the codes, and I was like, hey, what do you think the odds are that Eric would be on the show? And she went, honestly, pretty good. Here's his email. So I vividly remember sitting on my couch with my laptop. I had a book next to me. I bought a book on podcasting, and one of the chapters was how to invite a guest onto the show. And I was like, okay, yeah, okay, cool. So, all right, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I think that looks good. And I sent him an email and be like, hey, do you want to be on the show? And he did.
Yeah.
So he came on the show. It was a really good time. We had a blast talking about D&D and everything. And then it was so wild. Like, I think it was a month, maybe 2 months later, he emails me and he messaged me on Twitter and was like, hey, could I be on Difficulty Class again? And I'm like, what? He's like, oh yeah, I had a great time. I was like, yeah, of course you can. What are you talking about? So we had him on again and had an even better time, really, hit it off and everything. And one morning I just got this wild plan in my head. I woke up just ready for chaos. And I was like, I'm gonna send I'm gonna send Eric Jordan an email, and I'm gonna pitch him a bunch of different things that I think I could do creatively for him.
Right.
And it was like talk shows, variety shows, they had certain other shows on their Twitch channel that I felt like I could do something, slightly different with, and web comics and stuff like that. And I sent it off like shaking, and to my utter shock, he responds to me like 30 minutes later, um, none of this is really what we're looking for right now. Do you have any other ideas? And I don't know if you've ever
That's
like
code.
hit that. Oh, that's code.
That's
That's
code.
code. And luckily, I luckily I had known enough about the industry and everything that I saw that and I lost it. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, I got ideas. Oh yeah, no, don't worry. Yeah, I got that. Oh yeah, let's freaking go. And you know, to skip ahead a bit, he put me in touch with Dylan, who was their person in charge of streaming, and he was like, "Hey, we have this show that we want to do called, or we didn't. There wasn't even a name for it at the time, actually. So we got a show we want to do, that has B. Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about D&D lore, but we need a host for it because, and you know, because we want them talking about it, but we want you to like, you know." Intro the
Moderate.
show
Yeah.
and yeah, and everything like that. And I was like 100%. And he's like, and you've streamed on Twitch, right? I went, oh yeah, no, 100%. I'd never streamed ever in my life. I'd never hit go live, not once. And so I spent a frantic week learning how Twitch worked. And yeah, I mean, I remember we got together for like a chemistry test, and I don't think Clive and Dylan got to say more than like a paragraph of total words because Aaron B. Dave and I were just talking the entire time. And yeah, we eventually got the name Champions of Lore for it, and it is one of my favorite things that I have gotten to do, hands down.
That's awesome.
Oh, and I mean, you asked like how I got to work at CNE. Because that was like kind of because I was a contractor with them then. So like I was getting paid for the show, and then eventually down the line I got a second show with them, which was Champion Psychology, which I did with Dr. B, Raphael Bukamatsu. I haven't gotten to say that name in so long, and I kind of missed it. So
it's a great name to say.
Dr. B, that's for you. And also Mitra Jordan, who's Eric Jordan's wife, and she, you know, both of them are in the therapy and psychology field. And so we had Champions of Psychology, and we did a mental health podcast. And actually, it was really because of Mitra. Like, really, when it comes down to it, like, I really do owe her so much for what I got to do, because we'd been doing Champions of Psychology for a bit, and I was doing Champions of Lore at the same time. And my wife took me to Disneyland for my birthday, right? And I think this is in 2021, yeah. And I'm sitting outside of the place where you make your lightsaber in the Star Wars land.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm gonna make actually, I made this lightsaber.
Nice.
I'm like, I'm gonna make a lightsaber. This is so cool. And I get a Twitter DM from Eric, and he's like, hey, do you have a minute to jump on a Zoom call real quick? And I was like, I'm actually at Disneyland, so I can't. And he's like, it's like, oh, it's okay. And I was just like, hey, you know, what is this about? And he was just like, oh, I was just gonna see if you wanted to be our community manager at Codename Entertainment. And I'm like, yeah, no, let me know when we can do that Zoom meeting. Yeah. Tomorrow, and because like, I had
funny enough, I just broke my leg. I'm available right now.
Yeah. No. I wasn't about to do that for a trip that my wife paid for. But no, it turned out that they had been looking for a community manager for a bit, because they had hired Lauren Urban to be their community manager, but her skills were fitting a different role, so they were moving her over to that, and they needed someone to do community management, and they couldn't find anybody that they liked. And one night Mitra says to Eric, well, what about Treavor? And like, that's literally why I had a career in the games industry, is that right there. And so like, anytime someone's like, how do you get a job in the games industry? I'm like, I'm not the go-to guy.
Don't ask me.
I'm not the guy.
You know,
because
we've had so many guests that have been in the games industry, and every single one of them has a completely different path, and none of them are stereotypical. None of them. There is no standard way of doing it.
No, there really isn't. And And yeah, so like it's wild too because like when I was a parking lot attendant and I was listening to podcasts and stuff, like I heard all these community managers on video game podcasts and stuff, and I was like, oh, I think that's a job that I could do. I think I would have a lot of fun with that, and I did. But like I was trying to figure out how would I even get that job. Like I don't know what I need to do, and
Right.
well, apparently, right place, right time was the answer. So
Yeah. When you did some
yeah.
writing for them.
Well, yeah, so I got hired as their community manager, and around the same time, Erin was brought on to be the writer for the game. And so we were both working at Codename for a bit there, and it was kind of wild to be like, at that point we had been doing writing about dragons and shit. So like, we'd meet up for that. We meet up for Champions Lore, and then occasionally on a Tuesday, Erin and I would meet up in a marketing meeting and be like, "Hi,
Hi, I know you.
yeah." But after a few years, she left so that she could focus more on her novels and stuff because
Yeah.
she'd gotten a few deals and whatnot. And once again, I am a very fortunate person. When she was leaving, she said, Trevor should replace me. And like, still to this day, like I feel like I got hit in the chest just now as I said it, where it's like Erin M. Evans said I should
Right.
write it. I should, yeah, that's a normal thing that's happened in my life
Right.
that I don't get emotionally upset about at all. Like and so, you know, long story short, like from there, after a while, like yeah, I found myself being the writer for Idle Champions, and like, and I don't mean that in like any kind of like cocky way. There's only one writer on that game. Like right
Right.
now, it is Mars. And now for a while there, it was me, and I got to do things that I cannot believe I got away with. And I got to, I mean, like the new Forgotten Realms book got announced, right? And they showed the cover for it, and I looked at it, and I see Karlak, I see Jarlaxle, I see Minsk, I see Vajra, and I'm like, I've written dialogue for all of them.
Right. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is. It's wild. So
When
yeah,
you're
that's how I got my job.
when you're playing the game, because you said you were playing it before, all the way through. Who is one of your favorite characters to put in your team? Who do you like
Oh,
to Who do
see,
you like to build your team around?
See, that's the funny thing is like you say like build the team and everything, and I even told them this when I was the community manager. I'm not the mechanics guy for that game. I love that game. I think it's a lot of fun. People start talking about how they build a formation. You're bringing in math that I don't want to do in a video game. So like literally, I made groups that I liked,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like I loved Minsk. Minsk was gonna be in there.
Right.
I liked Celeste. Celeste was gonna be in there. It's like, oh, they got the Waffle Crew. Oh, I am putting Evelyn. I like, I when it. And the really wild thing was like as I was going through it, like especially with Black Dice Society, because I was the podcast editor for that. Like I got to know all of those people that were on that show one way or another. And so like eventually I found that my formations for that game were just like people I knew.
Right, right.
And so like I was like, oh well, I can't break this group up because they're friends.
Yeah, I'm also, when I first started playing, I'm like, I don't understand the mechanics or the strategy to it. But
Yeah.
what I did know is I had a few characters that I was a huge fan of that I just thought was really
Yeah.
cool. And
Yeah.
Artemis and Jarax, I'm like, I need to build a team around those two characters. And
Well,
luckily enough, that worked out. Once I started to understand the mechanic, that worked
you
out.
picked some good ones. Yeah, no, it like obviously as during my time there, I learned a lot more about it and was like, okay, I get what you're going for. I'm still not going to play that way, but
Right.
like I understand what you all are talking about now.
Right, for sure. Tell us about your current podcast. Anything you're working on right now that's out there or still out there that people can go check out?
Really, the only podcast that I'm doing right now is writing about dragons and shit, and that is the one that Aaron B. Dave and I have been doing since 2021. We're like 165 episodes in.
Yeah.
Yep, 165. That is wild. And yeah, I mean we've been doing that, and now we're doing we have a Patreon now. So we've been doing 2 extra shows a month where it's just us talking about like whatever, like it because we've had people like ask us for like, oh well, like we obviously we want to hear you talk about writing, but like we also kind of want to hear like B Dave go off about The Last Jedi. And so like that we called it Tangents, and are doing that, and that one's like a Patreon exclusive thing, but we're doing video now too. So like that one show has like got more going into it than the other ones have. But I mean, I know I saw it when you posted the image earlier of how many shows I have done. Is it 6? Is it 6
Well,
that
I'm
I
pretty
did?
sure you did more than that. I just picked a handful of them
Okay.
that
Yeah.
seemed
I've
recent and
done
I
a lot of
recognized.
shows. Yeah.
When you're talking to people that are getting into podcasting nowadays, right? A lot of people ask, okay, well, editing process and audience and target audience and formatting. What do you tell people when it comes to those? What goals they should have? What goals should they start with? I know what I usually say. I want to know what you usually say.
If it is someone who is just starting out, like let's say that they either haven't recorded an episode, or like like they're maybe like 5 episodes in. Actually no, I've told this to someone who's like 20 to 30 episodes in. It's to honestly, don't care about that. Like, don't care about the the numbers, don't care about the who this is hitting and stuff. Make a show you would want to hear the way you would want to hear it, because if it doesn't sound good to your ears, doesn't sound good to theirs. So instead of like worrying about like, oh well, I've got to get to this point so I can get a sponsorship. No, you don't don't worry about that, because I'm gonna tell you this: it ain't gonna pay your bills. Sponsorship doesn't mean anything. It I think a lot of people think that if they get a sponsorship, it does something for their show, it makes it more legitimate or something like that. It doesn't. Like it you know saying you there's certain things that you do, like being a writer, for instance, like B Dave has said, if you've been paid $1 for your writing, you are a professional writer because you have been paid for it. I don't find that to be true with podcasting. You don't need to be um, paid to be a professional podcaster. You need to be experienced. That's it. Like, I have been called a professional podcaster, and I'm like, that's still wild for me to hear. But then I look at the amount of shows that I've done, and I go, I guess I have to agree, because I can't say otherwise.
And how successful they are.
Yeah, and so like it is not a matter of really like trying to force it, because it's not going to work. And I have an example of this from my early podcasting career that really illustrates this. So my difficulty class co-host Allie, she is well, I mean, I say she, both of we are friends with a YouTube creator who goes by Puffin Forest, and he did all these like animated videos of like his games and everything like that, and that was Ali's games that he was playing in. And so like I quick tangent on this. His YouTube channel became like very popular for a while, and he hasn't I don't think he's done videos for a bit, but like I had a moment where I was at a game store and I heard a kid making jokes that were from a Puffin Forest video that were from a game my sister-in-law ran that I heard about the night the game happened. And I'm like, this is one of the strangest experiences of my life. But so we had him on the show, and like I said, he had a fairly big following and everything like that. And all of our episodes, I think we were lucky to get like 100 plays an episode at that time.
That's still pretty good for at that time and being early on.
Yeah. Well, when I say early on, like this was, oh no, you know what? No, it wasn't 100. No, it was 30. It was 30 at the time. That's what it was.
Okay.
And we put his episode out. He tweeted out about it, and that episode hit 1,000 within a day.
Nice.
And I think at the time that I stopped checking it, it had about 3,000 listens or something like that.
Okay.
I don't, and you know what the next episode had?
30.
Yep.
I mean, I'm saying this because I understand how the numbers,
yeah.
you know, people will come to see a guest,
yeah,
but they don't want to see the other guests.
Yeah. And that is the thing, like trying to find, and I say this 100% being guilty of it myself early on, trying to find that cheat code of like getting to be, you know, like successful at podcasting or anything like that doesn't exist. Like all the shows that like shoot up to like #1 out of nowhere, it's because they've already had a following. It's because they've already, like, they're with a big company. I mean, like, you know,
they've got Adam Carolla in their back pocket or something.
Yeah. Well, like because like the gaming ones was the ones that I listened to a lot, and you know, like Kind of Funny put out their Games Daily show back in the day, and it shot to #1 in the gaming thing, and it's like, yeah, but like you've been doing Kind of Funny for years now,
right?
And so you've got this following, and so that whole fan base went and did that. And you know, if you are just starting your show, you don't have that, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's totally fine. Like the only way, and you know, like Greg Miller and all of them, they started at IGN. They had a one up on you just making a show on your own. They started somewhere that had a listener base that they could then go, hey, you know, you like me, come over here. We've got a Patreon. And you know, just like me starting off recording with my sister-in-law in my kitchen, we didn't have that. But like, you know, we did grow a small enough audience, and we got connections through doing that. Because like, you know, while we were doing that, Three Black Halflings was starting up, and when I saw their first episode go out, I immediately reached out to them, talked to Jasper, got to know him, had the you know, the original 3 of them on the shows at times, and like, you know, like I know them now, and like, you know, like I'll still talk to Jeremy here and there, you know, once in a great while. And so like it doing these things, learning how to do them, learning how to do social media with them. And granted, that's the one I have a one up on because I was a social media manager before doing it. But like learning the skills, learning the editing, and doing that's the professional part of it.
Right.
Like when you get to the point that you have an opinion on how a show sounds, or you know, you're listening to a show and you hear a cut, and or like, you know, as a host you hear like a flub or something like that, you catch it and you know you wouldn't have caught it before. That's when you're really getting into that professional space.
We talked a little bit about that before the show started, about like, do you edit the ums, do you not edit the ums, do you let things go? Well, what that depends. Can you see it on the audio line? Can you see when you're looking at it, oh, there's an there's an well, we'll leave that one in, that one we'll take out, you know.
This is so funny to say. The last show I did editing for was sorority for Good Time Society, and yeah, by the end of that 9th episode, I could tell Gina's Becca's Serena. I knew the wave for. I could be like, that's an that's an that's an and yeah, you see it. It's like Guitar Hero. Like you're playing it so long that you just see the things coming down.
Yeah, for sure. People can. I've seen you post that people can hire you to help work on their podcasts.
Yeah, I do freelancing work when available. I've been working on a few things here and there. And so, yeah, if people want to reach out to be like, hey, you interested in this, I have rates and stuff for doing that. But I've done a couple of shows, and it's kind of, I forget that sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. People can find you at trevorbettis.com.
Yes,
And
there's
you're
an A
on-
hiding in there.
And you're on the Blue Sky at the trevorbettis.bluesky ... all the things after the things in the
Sure.
Blue Sky.
Yeah.
The Treavor Bettis.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the Treavor everywhere online. Because it seemed to work, so I got some branding.
Yeah. You have any upcoming events you're going to be seen anywhere? Dungeon Scrawlers, other podcasts, other shows, any conventions, anything like that people can keep an eye out for you and go find you?
Unfortunately, no, not right now. I was very much wished for at Gen Con. A couple of our listeners were writing about dragons and shit was like, well, what if we bought you a plane ticket? I'm like, that I feel weird about that. No, please don't do that. But I still felt very appreciative that someone was willing to do that. But I'm looking at doing some cons next year. And I have some shows that will be happening, but nothing to announce right now.
Awesome. Well, hopefully I can catch you at some of those conventions. If not, we'll, catch up in other locations as well. Right?
Heck yeah.
All right, everybody listening, please stick around. We've got the live stream Q&A coming up at the end. For everyone listening and watching live, please stick around for that. But first, we are shifting our live schedule just a bit this month. The August 18th podcast episode will still hit podcast feeds as usual, but the live show is going to be happening a bit early. This Thursday, to be exact, it's going to be happening Thursday, August 7th at 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. Our guest is going to be none other than D&D legend Jeff Grubb. Jeff Grubb is going to be coming and joining us for that episode. Of course, that podcast will be in feeds on August 18th, so you don't want to miss it. Also, down the road, we're going to be having Stephen Shend and Rosemary Jones, so please make sure to click that follow button, follow, subscribe, rate, review, all of those buttons. Push them all. It helps us and helps our guests, but doesn't help me to say it. Not at all. So, for Treavor Bettis, I was wondering if you'd catch that. For Treavor Bettis, I am Nick, and thank you all for listening to Epic Realms.